This is the Wizard News for July 6th, 2020. Today's news is featuring Dr. Willie Wilson's announcement for U.S. Senate.
Put your hands together all over the world and receive Dr. Willie Wilson. Come on, give it to him. Dr. Wilson. God bless you, Dr. Wilson.
Let me again thank God for his amazing grace. Yeah. Amen. And just think of a gift. I want to greet you today in reality and not formality. I want to come to you as the only way I know how to come is just being straight to the point, no show, no fashion. This today, we're living in a serious time. We want to thank all the pastors, particularly Dr. Thurston, for allowing us to be here today. Amen. Been a friend down through the years, and want to thank him dearly for allowing us to use his place, and all the other pastors and ministers and organizations who's here today from around the state, and Pastor Zach Lee from East St. Louis have came up, and we have all the different ministers and churches downstate from me as well, who's here. We want to thank God for him, and I want to thank the Latino community today, the white community, Muslim community, different denominations, who's here today with us. And those who is not here, want to thank them as well. I'm Dr. Willie Wilson. Today I announce my candidacy for the United States Senate for the state of Illinois. You know, there's some things that people do because the fact that the Lord won't let you rest if you done made it to life and financial those things, and you figure that maybe you can go out and play golf or enjoy your family. But yet no, the Lord said you got to get out and do more, because I didn't put you here just to enjoy your own life like this. And so even though you try to go back and do some of the things that you want to do, but still in all, spirit behind you pushes you back out there. I'm a sharecropper from Louisiana, Dr. Thurston. And I've been a sharecropper all my life. I still claim it today as a sharecropper. Because as a sharecropper, you work hard. And you never dreamed of anything outside being a sharecropper. Because it was the only hope that we had in terms of having food to eat every day. We had to pick tomatoes, butter beans. We had to get sweet potatoes. We had to pick cotton and chop cotton. We had to go fishing and rabbit hunting if we wanted food to eat on the table, the meat. And eventually I got a little tired of that, and I ran away from home at 13 years of age. Went to the 7th grade to run away from home, to finally say I'm gonna get my parents out for slavery. But Mama taught us one thing, that was to have faith in Christ. And that we could make it. And I'm a prime example here today in front of you to say that I'm what you call America. Been counted out 2 times by the doctor. The doctor said one time when I had prostate cancer that you would be dying. Well, that was 20-some years ago, but I ain't dead yet. And other ones say that you had a heart attack, but you're gonna die today on this operating table. And I've been doing medicine for 40-some years. And said, Dr. Wilson, you won't make it today. It's time for you to go. I told that doctor, I said, let me call the real doctor. So that was 18 years ago, I'm still here today. And people don't just like to hear talk and complaining all the time. They want things done. They want solutions. People still have to eat. Kids gotta get through school. And I know how to try to work and make sure that the people that we employ to have a paycheck to take care of their families and make payroll. I know how it is to struggle and to make payroll. I know how it is to have a church that you and pastor for so many years, and you don't even have a retirement plan for your family. I understand the pains. I know how it is for a pastor to take and preach the gospel and not even get a raise for 20 or 30 years. That's why I support so hardly our churches financially to make sure they can get back on their feet. And I know how it is to be frustrated by our political people. I understand all of that. But as I kept growing up, I was in search for the American dream. I discovered that the American dream consists of hard work. I discovered hard work like mopping floors and sweeping the floors, just to make a living. I discovered that we shouldn't hate white, black, Latina, Asian American. I discovered that we are all human beings and we should work together and not hate. I discovered not to dislike people who dislike me. And I discovered that we're going to be as a people for this country here, that we must put our heads together, our minds together, and we must show love in order to bring us back together. And simply put, you can say I am a story as part of the American story. You can say that I'm one who doesn't have any special interest in politics to show anybody the favor. I don't owe anybody. I've been bought already by Jesus Christ, so I can't be sold no more. And I like some of you, I've struggled through mistakes, and I've struggled through pains, I've struggled through setbacks. I've done all of that. I'm not like my opponents that I'm running against, Senator Dick Durbin, who owns a lobbyist company, is still a U.S. senator. I understand how you can go to Congress that you're struggling to make it, and then in 37 years you come out still be a millionaire. Don't understand that. We need health care. We need education. Criminal justice reform. Housing, health care, Social Security, Medicaid, taxes, trade. Why do we keep sending people to Washington, D.C. to fix it, broken system? And they cannot fix it because they benefit from a broken system while other people suffer. I understand why senior citizens have to decide whether they want to pay rent or buy food. We have senior citizens who live out $3 a week for food allowance. We have young men and young ladies in prison today. African American, Latino American, other American, but the majority of them is people of black and brown color. System is broken. My opponents voted for the crime bill. Straight back to child. A lot of young men and young ladies maybe ran a red light 2 or 3 times and had to go to prison for the rest of their life. My opponents took and voted for that bill. Now he says he's sorry. But what about the people who died in prison? What about the people who didn't have a chance to have a family in prison? What about the homes that were broken up? What about the opportunity that when you had an opportunity for 37 years to change it and try to do something about it? They decided not to. My opponents. And so when you go to jail, you can go out there and you can see somebody in jail for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, and they don't have $100 to pay to get out. We will fix that problem. First of all, we should have those who happen to be in prison. We must figure out a way to and put apprenticeship in prison so they can learn a trade, so when they do get out, they have a place of employment. And we must take then realize that those are our people, all of our people. We must learn also that our veterans who have fought war in this country, when they come back home to a country that they don't even recognize, they come back to a country that does not value them of their sacrifice. Our veterans deserve the best health care. They deserve free housing and should never be forced to live under the bridge. Or in a camp. And I'll fight for health care. I'm gonna fight for you. And I will always fight for my churches. Always will. I understand sometimes when people will take then for self-profit to sell out their neighbor. I don't quite understand that the Democratic Party or the politicians, the people that we put in office there, that represent our community, can't do nothing unless the party says they can do it. It's serving the party versus serving the people. The education system, everybody should have entitled to a free education for those who cannot afford it. Lawndale, Hummer Park should have the same right to a free education as they do in Lincoln Park. We don't have good education. What happens is that we get in the street, we can't make it, we give up hope. Frederick Douglass once said, "It is easy to build strong children than to repair a broken man." As United States Senator, I will ensure that the zip code which you are born in will not determine your opportunity for a quality education. And we will rebuild Illinois to represent and reflect all neighborhoods. In 1968, after the death of Dr. Martin Luther King, in those days, the city of Chicago and certain neighborhoods have still not been rebuilt since 1968. Sadly, many of those same neighborhoods, like grocery stores and things of that nature, we have to change it. I believe every day that what we're missing is to look the first 100 days when I'm in office, we need to put people to work in neighborhoods and get this situation taken care of by putting a public work bill during my first 100 days in office. Neighborhood have high crime rate, unemployment, and hopelessness. We'll work with the labor union to ensure individuals have access to apprenticeship and training opportunities. From East St. Louis to Evanston, help is on its way. From Bridgeview to Burlington, help is on its way. From Chicago to Carbondale, help is on its way. We will make sure that the third airport in South Suburbia become a reality. And we'll make sure that it reflects diversity in contracts, job, ownership. People of color should and are and is entitled to equal opportunity not only in job, but the contracts too. 37 years, Senator Durbin have stopped that third airport from being built. 37 years. I called the senator and wanted to get a meeting with him to talk about these things before I decided I was going to run. He refused to meet. I called his secretary, he said, "We'll get back with you." Didn't get back. And I called one of my congressmen. The congressman asked them to get in touch with him. Wouldn't call back. I asked my attorney to call. Didn't call back. He must remember that he worked for us, the taxpayer, not himself. Can you imagine if you got a boss and you don't call him back after 3 or 4 times when you're going to have that job or not? The LaQuan McDonald situation, all those other things, you not hear one word from them. This virus stuff going on today, you not have one word from them. people in hospitals couldn't even get a face mask. People or nurses didn't even have gloves and stuff. Our police department, our firemen, didn't have the proper equipment to put on. The women went out and we gave away $7 million to make sure they had the proper equipment. And today, the problem is this here is that, look, we need to look at this pension thing. If a person worked 40 to 50 years and look up and they don't have pension. Something wrong with that. And we need to look at our school teachers, people that protect us, police officers. We need to look at that pension thing. We need to look at the income that they make. We need to do that. I can go outside, run a red light, I'm gonna probably get arrested. My wife call it a crime. Can steal billions of dollars, don't even get arrested. We need more training in the police department. We need to reflect equal opportunity. We should not be bitter with one another. We need to look at our brothers and sisters, regardless of what color, and to let them come together and pull together. There's no reason in the world crime should be up in Chicago 58%. 6.9 million people country. We can be in jail and no reason why people should be gotten out of jail that were put in there for marijuana. Now they get out of jail, they can't own the marijuana thing, but they got to go back and buy it. Something wrong with it. Something wrong with it. The place is messed up. Poverty is the worst weapon of mass destruction. Because it creates a sense of hopelessness. And a hopeless person is a dangerous person. I will address the issue of that by showing love. Too many of our children are growing up in homes where there is no display of love. Put down other men's. Women is filling up the prison system at a rate of 1 and 2 times than the young men. What do we do? Where do we go? And we want to make sure that if we can create grant for our different organizations to help the community, why can't we create grants for our churches that is on the front line doing the job? Why can't we? And most of you see that I was on TV for 4 weeks in a row fighting for our churches. Well, I figured this way, we should be able to practice social distancing and allow the same as you would do a big box store or a liquor store. How can a liquor store or a drug house or marijuana go in there and buying, practice social distancing when they're drunk, when they're going in and when they're coming out? Amen. That don't make sense. So I asked the governor and the mayor, and even though they didn't call back, Dick Durbin still didn't say nothing. So I get this email yesterday, I read it and said that, well, Durbin said, well, he supported Bruce Brown and he supported Crunk. So I looked at it and said, well, what have you supported for 37 years? Look at my record. Look at my record. It's not about party, it's about the people. You know, we all make mistakes and do things, but at the same time, look, we have to still be agreeable, disagreeable, and still be agreeable. You judge a person about what he or she does and what their heart is in. I've done more for the state of Illinois, for the people, than Dick Durbin done 37 years using taxpayer dollars. Yeah. So as I look around, how do we fix this thing? Education, you need to pump more money into the education system. Take care of our senior citizens. Take care of our police officers, our firemen. Look at the pension thing. Where do you get the money from? Well, you're sending trillions of dollars overseas. I was taught to take care of home first. The war we fight overseas is nothing near comparing what we're fighting right here at home. So I look at it, do I want to be out here doing the thing at my age now? I'm compelled to be out here. I'm compelled. There's no place for me to go that I would enjoy than being out here fighting for people who cannot afford to fight for themselves. We have to have somebody to fight for you. You have to have somebody to fight for you who don't want nothing for themselves. Ask the Lord, like Isaiah, hear my Lord, send me. And we'll fight the battle for you. We'll push. We're hard. Why should a church on the west side, Humble Park, be struggling, can't get a parking lot right, but up in downtown and other areas? Parking lot. Church building. Get grants from the government and do things to help. Why should that church struggle? Why should the people struggle in that church? Why should the people struggle in the inner city, in black and brown area, in the whole state? Why should we struggle? Why should our young ladies grow up and our young men grow up and all they see on TV and movies is their hero is someone white? Why can't they see all of us be a hero? Is what I'm saying. Why can't they see all of us as heroes? And why should they grow up when our politicians, black and brown, are too afraid to say something? These things is out there. I can talk about sometimes worse than a dog. I say keep on because there must be something I'm doing right. And so but I can do it with your help. God help with your help. You gotta register to vote. You gotta get out and vote. You gotta get in the crunches. You gotta tell your next door neighbor must pick up and take somebody to the poll. You must fight like you was fighting in a war. You must fight. And I want you to know that, look, I'm fighting for you. I'm going to spend hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars in this race. Of my own money. I'm not asking anybody to give me $100,000 or $200,000. Frankly, I don't care. One thing I care about, I'm trying to help you. It ain't my money anyway, it's God's money. And so as I come to a close, I have some of the best, brightest minds around me. I have people who write good press release for me. People like my friend Attorney Watkins. He's a good friend. He writes well. He's smart. Good people who encourage her. White friend of mine like Scott Winslow over there. People like Shondo. People like Reverend Me and Reverend Thurston, who are not too afraid to allow us to use the church. People like you all who came today didn't do like Nicodemus and come by night, right? I did not call anybody personally and said to come, because I didn't want to put you in a compromised position. I didn't want you to start negative ways saying, I got to be over here today, I got to go to work. I didn't want that on your record in heaven. So I just had Sister Baker to send a letter out and invite everybody, and I'm appreciative of what you all done today to come, because in this battle together, I'm not happy unless you all happy. And as for being a person should not live their life for themselves to be happy. They must live their life for others, to help others to be happy. Then you in turn will be happy. So we will argue, we'll have disagreement. And I do support reparation. White man told me about reparation. Why should we have reparation? Well, that's 1,000 reasons. And I remember Scott and I were talking about reparation. He didn't understand it. He had a different background I have. But he understood it after we talk. So listen, a lot of times it's all about communication. And they said, well, when you bring up reparation, you'll lose the white vote. And I said, well, big deal. I may lose some of the black vote too. Because some of them think they're white too. I talked to Shondo and I talked to Apostle Tico and the rest of the Latina. They joined hands with us. They literally joined hands with us. And so look, I know I got spies out here today from Dick Durbin County. But tell them I'm here, I'm coming at them, all right? Tell them I'm here. Yeah. Tell them I'm here. Tell him I'm here. Tell him we're going to run him out of Illinois. And tell him do this for me. Tell him don't come in the black Latino community because he ain't came in 37 years already, all right? Go tell him that for me. Go tell him. You want to come when you want something. Tell him we're tired of being used. Yeah. Go tell him. Tell him that I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. Yeah. So church, y'all to push hard for me. Push hard for me. Push hard for me. And don't let Dick Durbin in your church that haven't came there in 37 years. Because now he gotta come because I'm on the trail. God bless you and God bless these United States of America. Thank you.
Dr. Wilson, everybody on your feet. Now that's a sharecropper talking there. A man who still identifies as a sharecropper, who knows what it's like to work on a farm. So our friends in Southern Illinois also have a representative. We're going to close with a prayer, and then everyone is invited to lunch on the 3rd floor of this facility. The elevator is to the right, so if you go out any door to the right and to the right again, there's an elevator to take you to the 3rd floor. Pastor Moyer will close with a prayer for us.
Eternal God, our Father, in the name of Jesus, we come before you at this time for the benediction. But before we ask of anything, I take pleasure in thanking you for everything. Thank you for this occasion. I thank you for all that have come out on today. God, above all things, help us to be yours completely. Help us to be real and honest with each other. Help us not to be fish and loaves followers. But when Dr. Wilson needs us, help us to be there. In one united front with all of our hearts, all of our souls. We can plan, but you can unplan. And you told us in advance, without you, we can do nothing. So I come seeking divine aid, even as I call on this benediction. God, thank you for Dr. Willie Wilson. I pray that your hand of providence will continue to rest and forever remain upon him. You did some marvelous things for Jeremiah. And you did them all before he was born. You knew him. You formed him. You separated him. And you called him to be a prophet. We have such a one with us today that we pray for. There's 4 things in his life as well. You knew him. You formed him. You sanctified, separated him to be a servant. We know without any hesitation, reservation, that you called him to be a divine servant. For no man is willing, not just capable, because a lot of people can, but they don't. but he not only can, but he's willing to serve. Everything that he does is in servitude. But you made it clear to Jeremiah that fourth thing, he was to be a prophet. We don't all know what is in that fourth thing that you have for Dr. Wilson to know. But as you spoke to Jeremiah, he even said, the word of the Lord came to me, speak to Dr. Wilson. Because if you speak to him, he'll have comfort. He will rest. And if the Senate is in that fourth thing, he need not fight. He need not worry, because it's already done. When was it done? Before the casting down of the world. You've chosen him. Now, God, as we prepare to dine, we pray that you would bless the table comforts which have been prepared for us. Look upon the hands that prepared it. Take out any impurities, should there be any. And give us love for you and wisdom to know that whatever energies is derived from the eating, that we give it back to you in a life of service and praise. In Jesus' name, amen.
This is the Wizard News, reporting on July 7th, 2020. Musical accompaniment by Jason Cao Huang. The song is 2 a.m. from the album Human Rights Trio. New suicide prevention, national patient safety goal for critical access hospitals. Effective July 1st, 2020, National Patient Safety Goal 15.01.01 will be applicable to Joint Commission accredited critical access hospitals. The National Patient Safety Goal has been in effect since 2007 for the hospital and behavioral health care programs, and was significantly revised during 2019 following 5 technical expert panel meetings. Because there has been no improvement in suicide rates across the United States, including rural communities, the Joint Commission determined that this National Patient Safety Goal should also be made applicable to critical access hospitals. Source: Joint Commission Pre-Publication Report, June 28, 2020. Lawsuit seeks access to DNA evidence that may identify the innocent. The Exoneration Project, a Chicago-based organization dedicated to providing legal assistance to the wrongfully convicted, has sued the Cook County State's Attorney's Office under the Illinois Freedom of Information Act. The lawsuit seeks access to DNA hit notifications, which may provide information that could identify and free innocent prisoners. A DNA hit notification is generated when DNA collected from a crime scene matches a convicted offender or arrestee in the combined DNA index system. There are over 19 million DNA profiles currently in the combined DNA index system, including over 1 million unidentified samples collected from crime scenes. When a person is convicted of a crime, by law, that offender's DNA profile is added to the combined DNA index system and compared to the crime scene samples in the system. If there is a hit, the Illinois State Police, which has access to the system, then sends a hit notification to the applicable prosecuting agency, like the Cook County State's Attorney's Office. Sometimes, when a newly convicted offender's DNA is added to the system, it hits to crime scene evidence from a different, earlier crime for which a different person was convicted. This can be potentially powerful evidence of innocence. Indeed, the Exoneration Project's lawsuit points to examples. Such hits have resulted in innocent men being set free after being wrongfully convicted and imprisoned. Yet, the lawsuit alleges after receiving the hit notifications, the system does not disclose information to the individual convicted of the offense. Matt Topic, a Freedom of Information Act attorney at Lovey and Lovey and representing the EP in the case, states why this information ought to be disclosed to the public. The General Assembly has made clear that the purpose of the Freedom of Information Act is to allow the public to monitor government to ensure that it is being conducted in the public interest. It is difficult to imagine many situations where that purpose is more imperative than ensuring that law enforcement is not withholding exonerating information from people who may have been wrongfully convicted. The Cook County State's Attorney's Office has acknowledged that it has been receiving DNA hit notifications since 2016. The Exoneration Project's lawsuit does not seek monetary damages. It simply seeks a copy of the hit notifications in the custody of the Cook County State's Attorney's Office in order to investigate potential claims of innocence. Given Chicago's long and troubled history of wrongful convictions, often established through DNA evidence, the public release of this information is vital, says Joshua Tepfer, an attorney with the Exoneration Project, who has represented many wrongfully convicted individuals. An examination of these DNA hit notifications could reveal that there are innocent people sitting in prison for other people's crimes. Source: The Exoneration Project, July 6, 2020. After deliberation, Northeastern Illinois University has determined that the fall 2020 semester will begin as originally scheduled on August 24th, 2020. As that date approaches, the university has announced that face-to-face classes will be held to a minimum to ensure the safety of students, faculty, staff, and the surrounding community. Fall 2020 courses will be offered in remote, online, hybrid, and in some instances, face-to-face formats, with appropriate safety precautions. The colleges and departments are in the process of reviewing and updating the delivery modes of fall courses. Updates are being made on a daily basis. As Northeastern follows its own customized plan for safely bringing people back to campus, the university will remain in Phase 3 of its custom plan for the foreseeable future as we continue to identify and install the physical and procedural safeguards that are necessary to protect the university community. Let's keep one another safe. Nobody should visit a Northeastern location unless they have been specifically cleared by the COVID-19 Task Force. Source: NEIU Targeted Announcement, July 2nd, 2020. This is the Wizard News for July 8th, 2020. Musical accompaniment by Dave Stryker with the song Shadowboxing from the album Blue Soul. Enforcement updates in City of Chicago. Businesses face $10,000 fines. Closures for non-compliance. As part of the 4th of July weekend health and safety efforts, City of Chicago investigators enforced Phase 4 guidelines by examining hundreds of businesses and conducting 49 full investigations in entertainment districts throughout the city and in response to complaints. While the majority of businesses heeded the warnings issued last week, the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection did issue 10 citations to 5 businesses for failing to maintain social distancing over the weekend, each with a fine of up to $10,000. During an online briefing last week, Mayor Lightfoot confirmed that non-compliant businesses will be issued $10,000 fines and/or immediate closure orders from the Department of Business Affairs and Consumer Protection and the Chicago Police Department. Source: Illinois Restaurant Association, July 6, 2020. U.S. Department of Labor cites Chicago-based candy manufacturer for exposing employees to machine hazards. The U.S. Department of Labor's Occupational Safety and Health Administration has cited Chicago-based Ferrara Candy Company for violations of OSHA's machine safety standards after employees suffered severe injuries in 2 separate incidences at the Bellwood, Illinois facility. The company faces $485,008 in penalties, and OSHA has placed them in the agency's Severe Violator Enforcement Program. OSHA received an employer-reported referral in January 2020 after an employee suffered a fingertip amputation after contact with an unguarded rotary valve. While that inspection remained open, the employer reported in March 2020 that another employee required hospitalization after being caught in machinery. OSHA cited the company for inadequate machine guarding and failing to control hazardous energy sources, provide lockout, tagout devices, and perform periodic inspections of lockout procedures and train employees on these procedures. The agency also cited Ferrara Candy Company for failing to maintain electrical protective gloves, conduct safety-related employee training on electrical hazards, provide insulated electrical tools, install permanent electrical wiring, and record a work-related injury. Proper safety procedures, including machine guarding and the effective lockout of all sources of energy, should have prevented these employees' injuries, said Chicago North OSHA Area Director Angeline Loftus. Employers have a legal responsibility to train workers and protect them from exposure to hazards in the workplace. Amputations are preventable when employers comply with the required machine guarding and lockout-tagout standards, said Principal Deputy Assistant Secretary of Labor for Occupational Safety and Health, Lauren Sweat. Employers must take proactive steps to develop and implement energy control procedures to minimize risk to their workers. Under the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 1970, employers are responsible for providing safe and healthful workplaces for their employees. OSHA's role is to help ensure these conditions for America's working men and women by setting and enforcing standards and providing training, education, and assistance. Source: U.S. Department of Labor, July 7th, 2020. As people stay home, Earth turns wilder and cleaner. People are also noticing animals in places and at times they don't usually. Coyotes have been meandering along downtown Chicago's Michigan Avenue and near San Francisco's Golden Gate Bridge. A puma roamed the streets of Santiago, Chile. Goats took over a town in Wales. In India, already daring wildlife has become bolder, with hungry monkeys entering homes and opening refrigerators to look for food. When people stay home, Earth becomes cleaner and wilder. Source: Associated Press, April 22nd, 2020. This is the Wizard News for July 9th, 2020. Musical accompaniment by Event Horizon Jazz Quartet with the song Evening Mist from the album Event Horizon. Mercy Health petitions to dismantle mental illness ward. Mercy Health could be closing another unit at one of its local hospitals, but first needs the green light from the State Health Facilities and Services Review Board. Mercy Health is asking to appear in front of the board to get approval to close its 20-bed acute mental illness unit at its Rockton Avenue campus. According to the state's website, there has to be other services available for inpatient care if the unit were to close. The hospital is seeking a public hearing where the community can be involved and offer public support. Mercy Health President and CEO Javan Bey says, Mercy Health's inpatient behavioral health census continues to average at 2 to 3 patients per day. The COVID-19 pandemic impacted the number of beds earlier in the year as we converted some of the beds on this unit to medical surgical. With our low census, we have not been able to retain psychiatric physician coverage. However, we are continuing our outpatient behavioral health care services. Mercy Health filed a Certificate of Exemption application with the Illinois Health Facilities and Services Review Board to discontinue inpatient acute mental illness services at the Javan Bey Hospital, Rockton campus in the third quarter of 2020 due to the ongoing low patient census trend, which has not allowed us to keep the service and has not allowed us to retain a psychiatric physician provider. There has also been an increased shift to outpatient mental health programming and services. The acute mental illness inpatient beds do not meet current Illinois Health Facilities and Services Review Board target utilization standards. To justify the unit, Mercy Health fully intends to maintain its outpatient behavioral health program at Mercy Health Glenwood in Rockford. Source: WIFR Newsroom, July 6th, 2020. Melt-away credit cards. This type of card may not be available within 3 years, but it's still worthy of mention. In what may turn out to be the coolest addition to credit card security ever, an Iowa State research team has developed transient materials, including internal electronics, that quickly and completely melt away when a trigger is activated. For example, you may be out holiday shopping, realize you have lost your credit card, and send a signal to destroy it. According to researchers, the transmission will be sent to the card in question, and special polymers now in development will cause the card to melt away, making it one of the surest ways to prevent credit card fraud. Source: Credit cards, July 1st, 2020. Since Monday afternoon, when the U.S. government announced that all international students must be enrolled in at least one in-person class for the fall 2020 semester, Northeastern Illinois University Provost and Vice President for Academic Affairs, Interim Vice President for Student Affairs, Dennis Rome, has been working closely with the Office of International Programs and other key Northeastern faculty and staff to accommodate international students' needs and ensure they remain in compliance with U.S. immigration laws. International students who don't receive an email with instructions from their program by Monday, July 13th, should set up an appointment to meet with an academic advisor or the chair of their department to discuss what courses to take in the fall. International students should then share that information with the Office of International Programs, which will update information in the Student and Exchange Visitor Information System and issue a new I-20 before the August 4th deadline. International students are an important part of the Northeastern community, and NEIU is doing everything it can to ensure they can continue to study safely and make timely progress towards graduation. Source: NEIU Targeted Announcement, July 8th, 2020. This is the Wizard News for July 10th, 2020. Musical accompaniment by Jason Cao Huang. Words Asleep, Spoken Awake, Part 2. From his album, Human Rights Trio. Coronavirus and brain damage. According to a study published Wednesday in the journal Brain, some coronavirus patients experience brain swelling that's accompanied by episodes of delirium. Other patients develop nervous system disorders like Guillain-Barré syndrome that can cause paralysis, while a few have life-threatening strokes. We're seeing things in the way COVID-19 affects the brain that we haven't seen before in other viruses, Michael Zandi, one of the new study's co-authors, told The Guardian. The researchers found that the neurological symptoms weren't limited to patients with severe cases, those that require ventilation or supplementary oxygen. The study authors examined 43 coronavirus patients between the ages of 16 and 85. All were treated at the National Hospital for Neurology and Neurosurgery in London between April 9th and May 15th. 10 of those patients had severe swelling in their brains that was accompanied by episodes of delirium. One, a 55-year-old woman without any prior psychiatric history, started acting oddly 3 days after being discharged from the hospital. According to her husband, she repeatedly took her coat on and off, then started having auditory and visual hallucinations, including saying she could see lions and monkeys in her home. Then the patient developed a Capgras delusion, a psychiatric disorder in which a person thinks a friend or family member has been replaced by an identical imposter. Another dozen patients observed in the study had swelling in their central nervous systems. One person within that group died. 9 of those 12 patients were diagnosed with acute disseminated encephalomyelitis, a rare kind of inflammation that usually attacks nerves in children's brains and spinal cords after an infection like mumps or measles. The study authors reported that the number of encephalomyelitis cases at the hospital rose from 1 per month before the coronavirus pandemic to 2 or 3 per week in April and May. 7 other patients in the study were diagnosed with Guillain-Barré syndrome. Some then developed neurological symptoms up to 3 weeks after their other COVID-19 symptoms. Overall, the researchers found that life-threatening neurological conditions weren't necessarily linked to severe respiratory systems among patients. That means a patient's lungs could be fine, but their brain may not be. Source: Business Insider, July 8th, 2020. Seven-year-old Jefferson Park girl raises $14,000 for Children's Hospital by making rainbow loom bracelets. Almost every morning, Haley Orlinsky wakes up early to begin making bracelets. Lots of bracelets. As of Monday morning, the 7-year-old Jefferson Park resident has raised $14,280 for Lurie Children's Hospital by selling the bracelets, and her mom, Lori Orlinsky, said she's not slowing down. Haley said she was inspired to start the fundraiser when she learned hospitals were facing mask and ventilator shortages during the pandemic. She chose Lori because she was born at the hospital and spent her first few days in the neonatal intensive care unit. My mom watches the news a lot, and I overheard that they're running out of masks for the doctors and nurses that are treating people with coronavirus, and I wanted to do something that could help them, she said. Haley said she has 3 activities that she cycles through during quarantine: eat, sleep, and make bracelets. She said she makes about 100 bracelets a day. They sell for $3 a piece or 2 for $5. She's got like a bracelet making shop. It's like a little workshop in her room right now, her mom said. Lori said Haley recruited her friends from school and her neighborhood to help her. Haley manages a steady production line by calling them each day to divide orders, according to her mother. Haley and her friends have made about 5,000 bracelets since beginning the fundraiser. They only take like 2 or 3 minutes if you're really quick, Haley said. Orlinsky said Haley uses a bracelet kit from the company Rainbow Loom, which made a generous donation and sent her a ton of supplies when they heard about the fundraiser. Haley said customers can ask for specific colors for the bracelets, but often they want her to surprise them. She said Chicago sports teams' colors are her most popular request. After Orlinsky posted about her daughter's fundraiser on Facebook, she raised $1,500 in 6 hours. Some high-profile customers include Mayor Lori Lightfoot, Governor J.B. Pritzker, and Hamilton star Miguel Cervantes. She made Governor Pritzker Northwestern colors because he went to Northwestern. Mayor Lightfoot, she made her a Chicago flag bracelet and Bears colors and Sox colors, Orlinsky said. Haley's fundraiser even earned her a surprise parade with Alderman Jim Gardner, 45th Ward. She said it was the best day of her life. People have said to us, especially like doctors and nurses at Lurie's Children's, that the bracelets represent hope during a really dark time. Also, the country is so divided right now, and I think no matter who you are or what you believe in, it's very easy to support a little girl who wants to help a local hospital, Orlinsky said. Source: Block Club Chicago, July 6th, 2020.